It's weird where it doesn't feel like summer, but summer league always reminds you it's summer. Maybe it feels like summer for you, but it just feels like the work keeps going through the draft and free agency. It's like, oh, that's right, it's July. And it was a reminder it was summer league with everything that happened with Chet Holmgren in his first game for the Thunder. He was awesome. He hit every shot. He gave you the Dirk step back, knee up. It was basically like all these other guys on Utah's team didn't know anything about Chet Holmgren. And you can tell maybe they did know. And they're like, I'm going to take it to this skinny dude. And then it's like, wait, he blocks every shot. This is really hard to finish at the rim. No, I'll get him. No, I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to take it. Nope. He volleyball spikes my dunk attempt. So it was really good. And that means it made Magic fans feel really bad because you're watching it going, wait, is this guy going to be awesome? Is this guy going to be like a transformative type of player who just all of a sudden your organization is totally different? And by the way, now Paolo Banchero's not playing. He hadn't played yet. He'll play tonight. So watching it all play out on social media, because it was the first chance to get to take a look at him, there's a couple of things we need to remind you of. All right. So let's just kind of run through it. First of all, and I looked this up, I don't know how accurate to the digit this number is, but apparently it's about 75% of the players that you'll watch in Summer League are never going to be on an NBA roster. So there's that. I remember when Trae Young played in Summer League a few years ago, and remember there was 2 different Summer Leagues that he played in. Trae played in the Utah one, then was in the Vegas one. Because if you look at the overall numbers, you're like, wait, why does everybody always dog him for how bad he was in Summer League? Well, it's because he was terrible in the 3 games that he played in the Utah League. He shot 12 of 52 overall for 23%. And from 3, he was 3 of 24, a hefty just south of 13% from 3. He even actually missed 1 million free throws in this game, or in those games as well. And because it was Trae, who led the country, I believe, in scoring and assists, and then couldn't make a shot, it felt like, as he closed out the college season. And more importantly, it wasn't what he didn't do at Oklahoma, and that team wasn't very good. It was what Luka could potentially be. It was trading out of the spot for Luka to take Trae Young. All right. So that's why there was even more focus on Trae. And then there was a bunch of, oh my God, this guy sucks reaction. And as I always joke about Summer League, I only care about Summer League if it reinforces my opinion on a player. And it's a joke because I'll admit all of us probably have, if you like a guy and he's really good in Summer League, you're like, yeah, I kind of knew it. And then if he stinks and you didn't like the guy, you're like, yeah. And then there's just a bunch of other results that don't even mean anything anyway. Let's run through some first team Summer League recipients. Again, each year there's 5 guys named to the first team Summer League. I don't know if it's all Summer League, whatever. Jordan McRae, Alan Williams, Doug McDermott, Glenn Rice, not his dad, Tony Snell, Doug McDermott again, Gani Lawai, remember him, Georgia Tech, Derek Carricker, Jermaine Taylor, Dominic Jones, Reggie Williams, Sam Young. There's an old joke in there, except it isn't a joke. He was all Summer League at age 25. I think the oldest recipient I've ever seen, at least in modern times, as scholars would point out. Alonzo G. Shout out Spencer Hawes. Craig Smith, BC. Vaughn Wafer. Ike Diagu. Now, there's some better names recently. If you look through some of the all-Summer League stuff and some of the MVPs, you're like, wait, that guy was pretty good. Like, yeah, some of the younger players, first picks, get out there. Let's see what you got. So I think it's actually getting a little bit better. I'm not going to run through a historical transformation of all Summer League award winners. But when it comes back to Chet, the point is this. He's supposed to be good, right? He's a guy who could have been number 1. All of us that did anything with the draft, I don't know that there's anybody that didn't love the guy or what he could potentially be. It was just the fear of what the downside could be. But like anybody, when you start talking about rooting interest, I started thinking about this again. I'm not a Magic fan. I don't care. We'll have Ceruti jump in here in a second. Because he and Kevin Clark jumped on a Spotify Live, and I think there's 3,000 people listening to it. And there's a fear because you're a Magic fan, at least in this case, you're like, wait, did they screw this up again? Now, I would point out, if you look at the history of the Magic drafts, it always felt like in recent history, and I'm talking like the last 7-8 years, however you want to frame it, it always felt like the draft kind of stopped before their pick. Not to say that there weren't other good players that they passed on later on, but the way it felt going into the draft, you're like, is this a 3-person draft in that first tier? Then it felt like Orlando would have the next pick. The tough part with the Scotty Barnes, Jalen Suggs thing is that Barnes was not supposed to go fourth, at least on some of the ranking stuff. It was thought to be this coup. They got Jalen Suggs. It's pretty clear Scotty Barnes is going to be pretty special. I actually think they would have taken Scotty Barnes if he had been fifth. So there's a pattern of this happening with Orlando. But in this case, they have the number one pick, and they pass on Chet, who for a game against Utah, where it was with Utah Jazz announcers, kind of been like, hey, I got to tell you, this guy, he's making some shots out there, and they're like still kind of selling the Jazz side of it while it's supposed to be a national broadcast. It's somewhat neutral. And Chet missed a bunch of shots in the second summer game that he had. None of this truly matters other than if he were going to be this guy, even at the number two pick, he's supposed to be good here. And if he were physically overwhelmed, that wouldn't mean write him off. And just like some of these other performances that we've seen, I think it makes sense that he was going to be pretty good because he's a really, really skilled player. And by the way, at Gonzaga, they ran the fourth most amount of plays for him. There's three other guys that were higher priority in that offense than there were for Chet. So him just getting more shots, playing with Giddey. And on top of that, too, Oklahoma City, you start to look at like some of the young pieces they're putting together. It's a really fun team. And, he had a great, great intro into the NBA world, which, face it, a lot of people probably reacting to it hadn't really dug in and watched him. And then you're watching it going, wait, another team passed on him, which then leads to the angst of if you are a Magic fan, you're like, did we screw this up? I was trying to think of a comp for this because this is a good exercise to run through when you think about like, okay, which teams do I care the most about? What's like my peak fandom? And your team missing out on somebody that you had a chance for, whether it be in the NFL draft, basketball. I would say baseball free agency was a big one for me, or even at the trade deadline. I remember being really pissed that the Yankees got Jeff Weaver once. I think it was 20 years ago. I was like, oh man, they got Jeff Weaver. Didn't really work out for the Yankees. I'm trying to think of other ones. Jose Contreras going to the Yankees was another. Like that would be my peak stuff. It'd be the Red Sox not getting a guy, and then the Yankees end up getting him. And apparently the Sox thinking they were all the way in Contreras. You'd have to go back and read all those stories. Apparently Theo Epstein broke a chair in a hotel room. I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. Because he was so upset about not getting him. I think Contreras was with the Yankees for 2 years. But that made it even worse because it was the unknown. Because there's this unbelievable extra value in the unknown. And that kind of gets us back to draft picks. But for most people, we've watched these draft picks because unless they played completely overseas like a Luka and you're looking to find this stuff, there's stuff you can find whether they played in college or you pay deeper attention to that. But when it's a baseball player that's foreign, I imagine there's other fan bases that missed out on Daisuke Matsuzaka thinking, damn it. Like this guy, you're thinking that it could be something that you've never seen before. And it almost never is that. It almost is never as good as you build it up. But the unknown part of it from Contreras, I remember just being so frustrated. And on top of that, the Red Sox not getting him, the Yankees getting him. So I bring in Ceruti here right now. I can't imagine there's any other thing in your sports fandom. And you have a weird combo of things. You're a Niners fan. You're a Magic fan. You hate baseball. I don't know. I'm sure there's probably some Premier League thing that goes on with you. Although, wait, you're a Roma guy, so
I root for Roma. They just won a trophy, so what's up? But I do. My EPL team is Everton, which they're a disaster. So all my teams have had some random weird ups and downs.
But let me just frame it this way. This has to be the most anxiety you've ever had, or will be, about a player that you were there, you could have had him, and now whatever Paolo is, there's still going to be this haunting, lingering feeling of what Chet could what he could become, is how I should say.
Yeah, but remember back in, what was it, the 2004 draft, right? When it was Emeka Okafor and Dwight Howard, and they took Dwight, and a lot of people were saying, no, you take the guy, you take Emeka, champion in college, like this guy's ready to go. Dwight's a big question mark. And obviously they went with like the more raw guy, and it was the right decision. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but I think I coined the term, it's Chet FOMO. And that's the problem, is that every time Chet does something like this, you're going to have this like weird, shitty feeling if you're a Magic fan, because he's going to do some really awesome stuff a lot of times. And like, I'm not even saying like Chet's going to have his struggles in the NBA. Like, I think that this came across on Twitter and maybe in our Spotify Live of me saying that, I think he's going to be this perfect prospect, and because he succeeded in his first like 10 minutes in summer league, all of a sudden he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I didn't say that. I have just been along this entire time saying that Chet is going to be such a fun player to watch one way or the other, and I think he's going to be good. That whenever he does stuff like this, it's going to be hard for Magic fans not to kind of feel like, oh shit, this could have been our guy. Like, he's so fun. And again, this doesn't mean that Paolo isn't going to be fun to watch or isn't going to be good. I just know that the Chet FOMO is going to be a real thing, and I do think he probably landed in the best place for him in OKC, so he's going to be able to kind of like grow in a way that he might not have been able to grow in Orlando. And it's, who knows? It's like an alternate universe thing. Like, would he be as fun in Orlando as he potentially could be in OKC? I don't know. But I was just excited as a guy who wanted the Magic to take Chet number one. I was excited to see him look that good in his first summer league game. And I don't think that's like a bad thing for me to say. I'm not saying that he's going to be unbelievable and that he doesn't have his flaws. I was just excited.
I don't think you're telling the truth. I think you hope he ends up not being good.
No way. No. Chet? No,
yeah.
I would never do that.
You want him to be a Hall of Famer?
I do, only because I stuck my neck out. I mean, shit, this is like my first like real
big so
ringer take.
You'd rather be right about your draft analysis and have the Magic miss out on this?
No. I hope they're both good. Like, I'm rooting. I like both. Paolo too. It's not like I don't like Paolo.
Right.
But like, I'm not rooting against Chet just because the Magic didn't take him. I'm rooting for Chet because I would have taken him number one. And that's the thing, is like, people are like, there were some Magic fans mad about, why are you and Kevin talking about this? The Magic didn't take him. Are you saying that now you're saying the Magic made the wrong decision and Paolo hasn't even made his debut in Summer League yet? Well, I said they should have taken Chet number one before the draft. Nothing has changed for me in the couple weeks since the draft, including one Summer League game. Nothing has changed for me. I still think they should have taken Chet. So for me to say that, I'm excited and like, these are all the things that I saw him do, all the Dirk step back and the pull up threes in transition, the ridiculous blocks, all that stuff. I'm like, he's going to be a stat stuffer, and he's going to be maybe the most unique guy in the entire league, and maybe a top 5 league pass guy to watch. All of these things I said before the draft, and I still believe now. And I also still believe Paolo could still be a good player. So I am rooting for both of them to be good, but I do want Chet to be good because I think he'd be an awesome player to watch in the league.
Okay. All right. Well said.